Good morning, UMA graduates. My name is Jordy Highland, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Online Programs. It's my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Victor Antonio. He has persevered through a challenging upbringing in Chicago to become an incredibly successful entrepreneur, author, TV personality, and just a great person. Victor has been a top sales executive, as well as the CEO of a multi-million-dollar business. He's also authored 12 books and shared the stage when public speaking with important leaders such as Rudy Giuliani. Victor is also preparing to launch a TV show called Family Takeover on Spike TV in February. His story is an inspiration to us all. We are very fortunate to have the opportunity to learn from him today. Victor, we welcome you to UMA.
Great, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, how's everybody doing? All right, before I get started, I got a couple of questions. I need to know, am I in the ceremony or am I in the celebration? Clap if you think we're in a ceremony. Clap if you think we're in a celebration. Yeah. All right, now, I got two types of speeches. I got a real exciting one. I got a real boring one. Both contain the same content, but I'm gonna let you decide. Clap if you want the boring one. Leave the room. Clap if you want the exciting one. By the way, clap if you don't care as long as it's good and it's short. I feel you. All right? By the way, congratulations. Thank you for having me. A little bit about my background. Born and raised in Chicago. Anybody from Chicago? All right, Chicago people got to stand up, just sit down. All right? So my family's originally from Puerto Rico. Boricua's in the house. There you go. So we were poor. We're talking food stamps, government cheese, powdered milk. Clap if you feel my pain. Man, there's a lot of poverty in here. Now, back in the day, you knew you were poor when you had to change the television when the knob broke off. What you use? Man, there's a lot of poverty in this room. Use a what? A plier, right? Or a screwdriver. What if you were so poor your antenna broke off? What'd you use? A hanger. What if you were so poor you couldn't afford a hanger? Aluminum foil. Remember that? At this very moment, young people are going, I have no idea what he's talking about, right? Remember that? And if you want a high def, what is it? More foil, right? So we were poor, and my mother was always about, go to school, get the education, get that job. Do you know any mothers like that? By the way, can we give it up for all the mothers supporting women in the house? Yeah. Mothers are great. So people always ask me, well, Victor, what motivated you? How did you become a vice president in a Fortune 500 company, president of sales and marketing of a $420 million company, a CEO of a high-tech company, and now a show on Spike TV? And I always have people ask me that question, what motivated you? I always say one word, Mommy, my mother, right? Because mothers are the greatest motivators in the world. Now, just to bring it home, my mother is old school. Spare the rod, spoil the child. Right? Also known as just feedback therapy. You know what I mean? So my mother was funny because the way she motivated me was she had that one tool that every mother, especially Puerto Rican mothers, have. What's that one tool? La chancleta, right? The sandal. Remember the sandal? Oh, we had options. We had switches. We had belts. But the sandal. And my mother was like Clint Eastwood. You never saw the sandal. She would unholster that sucker like this. She would go, and it was right there. It was right there. Do you remember back in the day, when did you have to come, before cell phones, when did you know you had to come back home? Yes, you are my people, right? When the street light came on, you had to what? Run home. So one day I get home, right? And you know how you get home late? You try to sneak in the door, it doesn't work. Mom said, come here, Spanish, ven aquí. And I said, no. you understand. You know how something comes out of your mouth and you almost wish you could run over there, grab it and say, that was an accident. That was an accident, right? And as soon as I did that, my mother got the screw face. You seen that? She said, like, what'd you say? And at that moment, I remember I turned around and I started to run. Within a couple of steps, I heard a whistling sound. A clear indication that the sandal was airborne, right? And that sucker had like a guidance system on it, because it would go under the table, around the corner, nothing but head, right? Sleep well, little Victor, right? But I love my mother because truly she always motivated me. We were always poor. We didn't have a lot of money. So isn't education valuable? Yes or no? Isn't education enough? No. So I'm going to give you the secret to success. I call it my secret sauce of success. Follow my formula, you will be successful. Now listen carefully. I don't usually share my formula with just anybody, but I'm going to share it with you for one reason and one reason only. Listen carefully. Because I love you. Okay, some of you felt the love. Some of you said, that's a little weird right now. I don't know you, right? All right, 3 components to success. The first one. Now, before I give it to you, I live in Georgia right now. Georgians, I gotta tell you, I love the South. Because in the South, people are just nicer. That's Southern hospitality. Would you agree? Yes or no? And I've discovered Georgia has 2 national treasures. The first one, listen carefully, Waffle House. Let me tell you why I love the Waffle House. There you will find the most politically incorrect people you will ever meet. You walk in, these ladies come up and you say, come on in, honey, sweetie pie, darling, or my favorite, baby, right? Have a seat, and I love it because it's politically incorrect, but I love it in Georgia, right? Now, I should note, I've been married 27 years. 4 different women, add up the years, doesn't matter, right? That was a joke, okay? So I tell my wife, when I need love and I'm hungry, where do I go? You understand me, right? But also, when I moved to the South, I also noticed there's a lot of preachers on television on Sunday. So I'm watching the channel, right? Just flicking through the channel. I see a guy by the name of John Hagee. Is that right? John Hagee. And this guy's like fire, and clap if you know who he is. Right? The guy's like fire and brimstone, like, whoa, I'm scared of you, flick, not you, right? I then find a guy by the name of Noel Jones. Clap if you know who he is. That guy's vocabulary is too big. You have to have a dictionary just to keep up with him, like, flick, not you. Then I click over and I find this guy by the name of Joel Osteen. I'm like, I like this dude. I like this guy because Joel Osteen's like real syrupy. Real sweet, real, this is my Bible. You know that guy, right? That guy, I like this guy. He's real syrupy. Now, Joel Osteen's a good friend of mine. Not. But Joel Osteen told this story, and I want to share this story with you because it's a valuable lesson. If you like the story, give me credit. If you don't, call Joe. The story is about 2 farmers. There's an optimistic farmer and there's a pessimistic farmer. One day it's raining. Optimistic farmer says, man, rain on down, let my crops grow. Pessimistic farmer says, rain go away, my crops will drown, I'll go broke. Next day, stopped raining, beautiful sunny day. Optimistic farmer says, man, shine on down, let my crops grow. Pessimistic farmer says, sun go away, my crops will dry up, I will go broke. In other words, the pessimistic farmer cannot have a good day. Do you know anybody like this? Yes, right? People who just can't have a good day no matter what's happening. So one day, the optimistic farmer gets himself a new hunting dog because he likes to go duck hunting out on the lake. At the last minute, he invites the pessimistic farmer. Visualize, if you will, lake, boat. Optimistic farmer has his rifle pointed up because he's thinking, sooner or later, there's going to be a duck. Pessimistic farmer has the rifle laid across his lap because what is he thinking? Tain't never gonna be a duck, right? Well, sure enough, quack, quack. Optimistic farmer takes a shot, hits the duck, lands about 20 feet from the boat. At that very moment, the optimistic farmer tells his new hunting dog, go get the duck. Man, that dog leaps out of the boat, walks on top of the water, right? Grabs the duck in his mouth, turns around, walks right back on top of the water, jumps into the boat, and lays the duck at his master's feet. At that very moment, the optimistic farmer couldn't be prouder. He looks over at the pessimistic farmer and says, man, what'd you think of that? Pessimistic farmer says, they stole your money. The dog can't swim. There are people in your life that you need to avoid. Do you know what I'm talking about? That no matter what it is, they're always negative. Rule number one, stay away from pessimistic people if you want to be successful. Am I right? There it is. Great. All right. Rule number two. Now, I went to college, got my degree. Listen carefully, I don't mind sharing personal information. It took me 5.5 years to graduate. Listen carefully because I don't mind sharing. I graduated with a 2.63 grade point average. Give it up. Oh, that was a test. Oh, that was a test. See, I can now tell the positive people from the negative people in this room. See, positive people are like, 5.5 years, 2.63. I don't care. That boy graduated. Yes, right? Negative people are going, 2.63. I'm not clapping for that. Clapping. That's because you're negative. See, in your brain, that's a C+. I'm a positive brother. It's a B-. It's all perspective, right? Did you know that the average millionaire in the United States is a C average student? Oh, you're not laughing at me now, are you? Which means at this point, if you graduate with A or B, you're thinking what? Yes. If you graduate with the C average, what are you thinking? I'm in the pipe, right? And if you graduate with a D, you're going, okay, so all I gotta do is move up one, Victor. Yes, that's all you gotta do, right? So my first job out of college was working for a company called Honeywell. How many people here saw the movie The Hunt for Red October? Yeah? If you didn't see it, here's the story. U.S. submarine, Russian submarine, shooting torpedoes at each other, right? Well, I worked on the torpedo system for the U.S. submarines called Mach 50. Now, here's how the torpedo system works. They launch it from a ship or drop it from a helicopter. And as soon as it hits the water, it begins to make a circular pattern. And at that point, the sonar system turns on. You ever hear that? Boom. Here, you try that sound. Ooh, I like that. One more time. Okay, when I point, do it. So what it is that every time it pings, it sends out a signal. It will bounce off the object. It'll come back, and the torpedo will be able to look at the outline of that object. And as it gets closer, it gets what? More definition, more definition. So what happens? They drop the torpedo in, makes a circular pattern. The torpedo says, I think I found the target. It pings. It gets closer more. It goes, underwater rock formation, not what I'm looking for. Breaks off the attack, begins a circular pattern again. Starts to what? Ping again. Beautiful. Moves off in this direction. I think I got it. What? It says, school of fish, not what I'm looking for. Breaks off the attack again. It'll go after a whale, but you don't want to hit a whale with a torpedo. Why? That's overkill. Not needed. But here's what's fascinating. Of all the things I'm going to tell you today, this one is the most important one. The way the torpedo works is fascinating. When it goes after something, and it isn't what it wants, not the intended target, it breaks off the attack. But something also happens. The torpedo has something called artificial intelligence, which means it reprograms itself to get smarter so you can't fool it again. So with every iteration, it gets what? Smarter. And I tell you that because that is the best analogy of life. So here's what's going to happen. There's a statistic that goes as follows. 78% 78% of the population is either unhappy or rather be doing something else. How is it that almost 80% of the population is unhappy and hate what they're doing? I submit to you the following. They went after something, and when it wasn't what they wanted, what do most people do? They stay. They don't move. They talk themselves into it. They compromise. They settle. We've all done this, right? Well, I'm just going to take this job for now, right? I'm only going to be here for 3 months for now. I'm only doing it because I need the for now, right? Life then goes by, and you keep what? Talking to yourself, oh, well, one more year. Well, maybe things will get better. Well, maybe things will change. Maybe my boss will get hit by a truck and things will really change, right? But what happens is we rationalize why we should do something because we're too afraid to admit it's not what we want, it's not what I like, so we stay there, we rationalize. Do you ever break the word rationalize apart? The ability to ration lies to yourself. Isn't that what we do? Don't you ever talk yourself into something? Am I right or not? Tell me I'm right. Because that's what happens. I don't want you to do that. Here's what's going to happen to you. You're going to graduate. You're going to go out into the real world. Are you going to face adversity? Yes or no? Absolutely. You're going to try something for the first time. And is it going to work? No! And anybody who said they made it work on the first time is lying. Because what happens is you go after something, even if it's a job, what happens is it's not the ideal job. So what do you have to do? Like a torpedo, you learn from it, and then you what? Move on. Till you find it. You learn more. You move off until you eventually hit your target, and that's where you want to be. Does that make sense? Yes or no? All right. I say get it, you say got it. Get it? Good. All right. So first thing, you got to have the right mindset. Number two is, it's okay to go after something. If it isn't what you want, it's okay to what? Change your mind until you finally find it. The last one, the most important one. Now, this is the major ingredient. I don't usually share the major ingredient with just anybody, but I'm going to share it with you. Why? Because, yeah, you get it finally. Thank you. Now listen carefully. So I have 2 kids, family of 4, actually married 27 years. It's a true statement, right? And so my wife says we're going on vacation. Now, for the fellas in the house, the smart ones, when your wife says we're going on vacation, fellas, what are we doing? It's exactly what we're doing. We're going on vacation. So I said, where are we going? She goes, doesn't matter. Just follow me, type of thing, right? So I remember we got on a cruise, never did a cruise. First port of call is Mexico on this cruise. My girl, my beautiful little girl, who I call the Great One, wants to go horseback riding on the beach. And when your little girl wants to go horseback riding on the beach and you're a father, what are you going to do? Take her. That's right. So we went horseback riding on the beach. And then we stopped off at Guatemala. My son wants to go ATV in the forest, to which I said, sure, why not? My wife then says, we stop in Belize. She says, I said, what are we doing here? She goes, we're going on a zip lining tour. Clap if you know what I'm talking about. I didn't know. So I've been married how many years? Yeah, my wife knows that I'm afraid of heights, right? So she made it sound like, no. It's, it's tree, wire. Not a big deal. No, not a big deal. To which I believed her. So what happens? We get there, we drive into the jungle, and all of a sudden I remember I looked up, and there's like these trees like 100 feet tall, and there's people zippy, right? And they look like that small, right? And I'm like, no. There was no way. There was no way I'm doing that. No. And at that point, my little girl, the Great One, comes up to me and says that one word that will melt every father's heart. What is that? No. She looked at me, she goes, Sissy. I raised her hard, right? I said, what did you call me? She goes, Sissy. And I go, Sissy. Now, I don't care. If you're a man, you're a father, and your little girl calls you a sissy, what are you going to do? Man up, right? So I said, all right, I'm man. I'll do this. I ain't afraid of this. So sure enough, they put this, so here's how it works. If you haven't done it, tree, wires, right? So what happens is they put this harness on you. The harness has like a pulley system, right? And what you do is supposed to kind of clamp onto that pulley system and go that way, right? So we're all getting ready. The guy says, listen carefully. Here's how it works. What you do is you hold on with your left hand. And you're going to leap off this platform. You're going to use the glove. He gives us a piece of a glove. Remember the glove? It had a piece of rawhide leather right there. And he says to me, that's your braking system. I said, how does that work? He says, here's what you do. He says, pay attention. He says, what you're going to do is grab it with your left hand. You're going to go zipping that way. He says, you let your hand ride on top of the cable and just cruise on down. He said, now listen carefully. Listen carefully. He said, when you get halfway, you're going to start picking up some serious speed. But you're also going to see the other tree. What you need to do is to slow down. And he says, here's what you do. You tap, tap, tap on the brake. He said, whatever you do, do not try to just grab the cable and stop on the dime. He says, your arm will come out of its socket. So I'm like, dude, too much information, right? Too much. And so sure enough, it's our turn. We're on the platform. Visualize this if you will. We're on the platform. It's our turn, right? And so what did I do? I let my wife and kids go first because that's what real men do. So I let the wife and kids go first, right? Let them go first. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. What does society say? Women and children. That's all I'm saying, right? So sure enough, they go. And then it's my turn. Now, I don't remember if I jumped off or he pushed me off. It doesn't matter. It's the details at this point, right? But I remember I started zipping, right? And he said to me, whatever you do, don't look down. When you tell your brain not to do something, what does it do? I look down, and all of a sudden, my lunch comes up. That's what happens, right? And then my son's on the other side videotaping, like he should be, right? So we get to the other side, and I'm thinking it's only one what? Zzz. But they had what? A bunch of zips, right? But here's what's interesting. So we did all these things. When I left, they gave us all a shirt. And what I read on that shirt really hit me because it asked the question. On the shirt it says, when was the last time you did something for the first time? Think about that for a second. When was the last time you did something for the first time? Because you're going to be challenged to do new things in your job. You're going to be asked to do different things. If you don't have the proper mindset, if you're not optimistic, if you do not stay in that zone, you will go negative and you will go broke, if I can be that blunt. Once you have the mindset, it's like a torpedo. You never get it right the first time, but what? You figure it out as you go along, but you eventually get it. But never be afraid to try new things. Be valuable, be great, be you. Does that make sense, yes or no? All right, I know you guys want to graduate, so it's time to take the pledge so we can get going. Everybody stand up. Stand up. All right. Yeah, you guys, everybody stand up. This is a great time for everybody to stand up. All right, graduates, listen closely. Do what I do and say what I say. Fingers up in the air. Put it up. Put the finger up in the air and take the pledge. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to my thing. All right, I can tell some of you like, is that Georgia thing? What's the thing? Put your fingers down, but don't sit down. That's my fault, my bad. See, in life, there's a fundamental difference between a thing and a thing. Let me explain it to you so you'll never forget. In life, if you do a thing, it's something you don't like. It's something that is really not about you. You're not on purpose. And when you do a thing, you'll always have a J-O-B, which stands for what? Just over broke, because that's what you'll always be when you do a what? A thing. But now, over here, there's this place called a what? Man, when you do your thing, it's like beautiful things begin to happen. It's what you're good at. It's what you live by. It's a creed. It's you. It's easy to do. And when you live over here, good things happen. So we don't want to do a thing. We want to do a what? Put your fingers back up in the air. All right, I pledge allegiance to my thing. Man, say it like you mean it. To my thing. Look at your thing. Let it know you care. To my thing. I will rise above. Doing what I love. I will make that dough. Look how happy you got. One more time, I will make that dough. Doing what I know. Because today I graduate. The day is today. I graduate from UMA. Thank you guys very much. Congratulations, all right? Thank you guys.